It was a normal Thursday that was about to become anything but normal. My wife Anna and I were preparing dinner in the kitchen as usual. She was chopping onions and I was cutting cheese and ham into small cubes for an omelet when she said something that caught my attention. "Brad, we've been married for almost 7 years and have always been completely honest with each other, haven't we?" I stopped cutting the ham and replied, "Of course. We agreed that this would be one of the most important parts of our relationship before we said I do." She turned away from the counter and looked at me thoughtfully. "I've met someone." Suddenly, the hairs on the back of my neck stood on end, as if I had been struck by lightning. "You've met someone? What do you mean, you've met someone?" I asked, even though I was sure I already knew the answer. "A guy from work? Really nice? We had lunch together?" "I think there's more to this story, so go on. You mean you met a really nice guy at work, had lunch with him, and you like him? Maybe even a lot?" A look of guilt flashed across her face. She turned away from me, nodded, and said very quietly, "Yes." Suddenly, I didn't want an omelet or anything else. I even felt nauseous, but I had to keep talking. I threw the knife on the cutting board and grabbed the table with both hands to keep from falling. "How far did your relationship with this very nice guy go?" She sensed the tension in my voice and backed away toward the counter. "We just had lunch together a few weeks ago and dinner last week when you had a late business meeting." "Did you hold hands, kiss, do anything intimate?" Her face paled and she nodded again. "We kissed." I felt nauseous and almost choked. "Did you sleep with him?" She glanced quickly at me and shook her head. "Not yet." This stunned me, and I pushed my chair back and sat down. "So you haven't slept with him yet, but you're going to?" A quick nod. "Yes. I thought so. He wants me to go away with him for the weekend." "And you're going?" "Yes. I don't want to upset you, but I need to figure out what he means to me. I'm sorry, Brad, I know this hurts you, and I hate that. But I told him I'd go with him. I couldn't leave without telling you. We've always been so honest with each other about everything." "Can I ask where you're going?" "Las Vegas. I guess you'll be staying in the same room." He said he booked a room. "Big spender?" "He's really good to me." "I'm sure he is. When are you leaving?" "Tomorrow morning." "Wow, you really waited until the last second to tell me, huh?" "I waited because I wanted to be absolutely sure I could do this before I hurt you." I almost laughed, but a choked sob escaped my throat instead. "That's very sweet of you, Anna. Does he know you're married?" "Yes, of course. I always wear my wedding rings." "Do me a favor and don't wear them when you're in his bed in Las Vegas." "Brad, I talk about you all the time when I'm with him." "Great. I'm sure you had lots of nice things to tell him about me. What a great guy I am. Just like him, but a little boring in bed, a bad provider. I leave my clipped fingernails on the carpet, and lots of other little negative things that make you want to leave me." She looked shocked. "I never said anything bad about you, Brad. He knows I love you." "But not enough to go away with him for a weekend full of sex. You love me, but you're not in love with me, right?" "No. Oh, I don't know. I'm confused." "So you throw yourself into the arms of a really nice guy who knows you're married, but he doesn't care, to figure out your feelings, huh? A few days and nights in Vegas, in his arms and in his bed, to figure out how you feel about me and him? To give him your body, which, by the way, you promised only to me a few years ago." Tears streamed down her cheeks. "I'm on birth control, Brad, so condoms aren't necessary." "Has your sweet guy been tested for STDs lately?" "He's not like that, Brad. He hasn't been with a woman in over 2 years." "That's what he says, but I'd bet $1 million he has. He's a womanizer, Anna. He sees a beautiful, sexy, married woman, and he wants her. That's how guys like him play the game. Steal a beautiful married woman, torment her, make her pathetic husband a cuckold. If I'm right and he hasn't been tested, you may find that what happens in Vegas doesn't stay in Vegas. It could come back to haunt you in a very unpleasant way. This nice guy is your boss?" No, he's my boss's boss. So you're really leaving him for someone better? I don't know what I'm doing, Brad, but I want to find out, and the way you're treating me isn't helping. I'm not going to help you leave with another man for a hot sex weekend in Vegas, Anna. Let me ask you something. If I beg you not to go, if I get down on my knees and beg you to stay with me, will you do it? She lowered her eyes and shook her head. I can't, Brad. I told Stan I'd go with him, and I can't break my word. At least now I knew his name. I see. You can easily break the sacred vow you made to me 7 years ago, but you can't break the promise you made to Stan. Is that right? I'm sorry, Brad. I don't want to hurt you, but I have to do this for myself. Try to understand. I knew right away that I had lost her, but the pain and suffering gave me an idea. A parting shot that wouldn't make her change her mind, but would make her think about how her actions would affect us. I stood up and turned toward the basement door. Wait here. I want to show you something. Then I'll get out of your way, and you can go. I went down to the basement and rummaged around until I found the Halloween props I needed. Then I opened our wall safe, took out a piece of paper, grabbed a hammer and some nails, and took everything to the kitchen. Anna looked at me like I was crazy when she saw me dragging the small wooden coffin we had used as a Halloween decoration up the stairs. What's that for? Just trust me. We've been together for a long time, and before we're done, I want to show you something. I placed the wooden coffin, which was about 1 meter long, on the kitchen table, knocking the ham and cheese I had been cutting off the cutting board onto the floor. This is a coffin. Well, it's a cheap Halloween prop, but it's still a coffin. And here's the lid for the coffin. This is a hammer, and these are nails. When I showed her the hammer, she started to get nervous. And this, I said, showing her the paper I had taken out of the wall safe, is our marriage certificate. I opened the coffin lid, placed our marriage certificate inside, and closed the lid. Brad, what are you doing? Put our marriage certificate back where it belongs. Why, Anna, it doesn't mean anything anymore. It's where it belongs, in the coffin, ready for burial. She started crying again. What are you talking about, Brad? It's proof that we're married. After you walk out that door tomorrow to be with Stan, it won't be true anymore. Now she was starting to lose her mind. You don't know that, Brad, and I don't know either. Oh, yes, I do, Anna. Your decision to leave with Stan, my decision to divorce you. Now sit down and listen. Our marriage certificate is in the coffin where it belongs. I took a nail and stuck it into the corner of the coffin lid. Bang, bang. I drove it through the lid and into the coffin. The sound was so loud in the small room that Anna shuddered and jumped up. This is the first nail, symbolizing the time when you had lunch and dinner with a very nice guy named Stan. I took another nail and hammered it into the next corner. Bang, bang. This is the second nail. It symbolizes the passionate kisses you gave to a very nice guy named Stan. Anna looked at me with wide eyes and trembling lips. Bang, bang, bang. I hammered the third nail into the second-to-last corner. This nail means that you agreed to go to Las Vegas for the weekend with a very nice guy named Stan. I took the last nail and placed it against the lid in the fourth and final corner of the coffin. Bang! I hit it once, hard enough to drive it firmly into the wood. That's the fourth nail, Anna. You've heard the expression, the last nail in the coffin. The nail that seals it forever, that irrevocably seals the fate of whoever or whatever is inside. This last nail is only halfway in, but our marriage is inside that coffin. And when you walk out that door in the morning to drive off to Las Vegas with that nice guy Stan, the last nail will be driven into the coffin, and our life together will be over, irrevocably and irreversibly. You can't be serious, Brad. You can't leave me because of one mistake. I'm not leaving us, Anna. I'm leaving you. I loved you with all my being. You are the most beautiful, most sensual woman I have ever known, and it has been an honor and a joy to be your husband for the past 7 years. No, I'm not the one leaving us. If I could, I would climb into that coffin with the proof of our marriage and be buried with it. Oh, and to satisfy my curiosity and drive the dagger deeper into my heart, I have to ask. If I look in the suitcase you're packing, will I find sexy panties and bras? Or maybe the beautiful negligee you bought especially for this occasion? Anna didn't answer. She just continued to cry quietly, but the look on her face gave me the answer. I thought so. Now I'm leaving. I don't want to be here to witness your final betrayal. I'll be back to get everything I need within 2 weeks of your departure with Stan. If you have any free time while you're in Vegas, although I suspect you'll be too busy warming Stan's bed to think about anything else, you can think about what things from the house you'd like to take. When you come back, I won't be here, but my lawyer will contact you in a week or two. I grabbed my jacket, left the house, got in my car, and drove away. I had just experienced the most horrible evening of my life and felt dead, numb from the tips of my ears to the tips of my toes. I didn't know where I was going, and I didn't care. I just wanted to get away. I knew I wouldn't be able to eat anything, so I found a Motel 6 on the opposite side of town from the airport. I didn't want to give in to the temptation to hang out in the departure area to see what Stan looked like. That really nice guy. It didn't matter if he was better than me, or at least not worse. My cell phone rang several times, and I recognized Anna's number, so I ignored it. The last thing I wanted was to hear her excuses for walking away from what I had always considered a wonderful marriage. I got up early, took a shower, put on the same clothes again, and went to the nearest Denny's for coffee and toast. That was all I could think of. No matter how hard I tried not to think about what Anna was doing at that moment, I couldn't shake the thoughts. I was stuck in some pathetic whirlwind of images of my wife, the only woman I thought I would ever be with, holding Stan's hand on the plane, kissing him in the taxi, and rushing through check-in so they could get to their room. I had heard people describe the pain they felt when they were cheated on, but I never understood how incapacitating it could be. I waited until 8:30 to call the office and tell the assistant I wasn't coming in. She asked if I was okay, and I said yes, but that I hoped I'd be back to normal by Monday. After hanging up, I noticed that I had at least a dozen missed calls from Anna, and when I checked further, I found another dozen text messages from her. I didn't delete them, but I didn't read them either. I noticed that the last message and call were at 7:45, and then nothing. So I figured she had given up trying to contact me when she left to go to Stan, the bastard who stole my wife. I would never call him a good guy again, because he was as far from that as you could get. I knew I would find a way to get back at him when the time came. Just in case, I waited until 10:30 to go back home and grab everything I needed for my new life as a bachelor. When I pulled up to the house and pressed the button to open the garage door, I saw that Anna's car wasn't there, and reality hit me. She had probably gone to meet Stan so she wouldn't have to take a taxi. I cursed myself for thinking she might have changed her mind and stayed home. Face the truth, you idiot. She dumped you. Wake up and move on. You may not find a woman as beautiful as her, but you'll find someone. Deep down, I didn't believe a word I said. The house was eerily quiet, and looking at it with the stunned eyes of a man with a broken heart, I felt strange. It had seemed so warm and alive before, but now it was cold and lifeless. I walked through the kitchen and noticed that the pieces of cheese and ham I had dropped on the floor had been cleaned up, and the coffin was no longer on the table. I decided it had probably been thrown out with the trash. It seemed that my little lesson had not influenced Anna's decision. I know that passion is a powerful thing, and when it takes hold of you, it's hard to think rationally. I climbed the stairs to the bedroom, wondering how long it would be before Stan dragged my wife into what had once been our marriage bed. Damn it, I had to stop torturing myself like this. When I entered the room, I saw the coffin standing in the middle of the bed, the lid ajar and a crowbar nearby. Someone, most likely Anna, had put a lot of effort into pulling out the 10-penny nails. Out of curiosity, I looked at it again and found that the marriage certificate I had locked inside was now lying between two pillows at the head of the bed. It seems she didn't want me to even achieve this victory, I said aloud. I turned to the dresser to get my underwear and socks, and there, on the table by the window, were 3 beautiful and, I'm sure, very expensive sets of bras and panties. On top of them was a piece of paper with a note written in black marker. I can't share what doesn't belong to me. What the hell? I said aloud. I turned to the bed and saw the same piece of paper leaning against the coffin. I can't share what isn't mine. The same message written in the same black marker. Then there was the screech of tires and the unmistakable sound of 2 cars colliding, but before I could react, the front door flew open and a woman's voice screamed, "Brad, where are you? Oh my God, please be here! Oh please, Brad, you have to be here so I can tell you how wrong I was, how terribly, stupidly wrong I was." I heard her run toward the stairs, stumble, and fall halfway down. She was crying hysterically, and when she looked up and saw me on the top step, she reached out her arms and crawled toward me. In all the 7 years of our marriage and the 2 years we dated before that, I had never seen her like this. She was wearing no makeup, her hair was a mess, her eyes were red and swollen, and she was dressed in a sweater, gray sweatpants, and a pair of fluffy rabbit slippers I had bought her for Christmas as a joke. "Anna, what are you doing? Where's Stan?" I asked her. She shook her head and said, "I can't share what doesn't belong to Brad. I told him that." "Who did you tell?" "Stan. That's exactly what I told him when he came to pick me up. I can't share what isn't mine." I was dressed exactly the same. He asked why I wasn't ready to go with him to Las Vegas, and I told him again that I couldn't share what wasn't mine. He asked, "What the hell does that mean?" I replied that I wasn't going anywhere with him. I would never go anywhere with him. And I would never speak to him again because I didn't have the body he wanted. That body belonged only to my husband and no one else. I couldn't share what wasn't mine. My husband owns every inch of my body, and I will never share that with anyone else. She continued to slowly crawl toward me up the stairs. He called me Brad, said I was a bitch and a tease, and that I cost him a lot of money for plane tickets and a room at the Aria. He said he'd tell everyone at work that I was an idiot and get me fired. I told him he couldn't do that because I quit. He was so angry that he sped off down the block with a screech. Finally, she reached the landing, wrapped her arms around my ankles, and hugged my legs. "I'm so ashamed," she cried. "I hurt the only person in the world who proved over and over again how much he loves me and that he would do anything for me. I betrayed the sacred trust of the person who is my whole life. I'm so sorry." And she cried. She held me like that for what seemed like an eternity, but it was probably only a few minutes. I was stunned, too stunned to move. The woman who was my life, whom I adored with every breath, my alpha and omega, my beginning and my end, had broken my heart. And now, half a day later, she was hugging my legs and sobbing. Every cell in my body wanted me to pick her up and tell her how much I loved her and that we would get through this terrible time. But I stood rooted to the spot, unable to move. All the events of the last 15 hours flashed through my mind. Deep down, I believed that she hadn't taken things to a sexual level with Stan. But in my mind, she had betrayed me. A married woman doesn't go to intimate lunches and dinners with another man. A married woman doesn't exchange passionate kisses with another man. A married woman doesn't go on a romantic vacation to Las Vegas with another man. Yes, she came to her senses before any real damage was done, but she still betrayed me. I stood there looking at the woman who, until last night, had been my whole world, and it was obvious that she was suffering as much as I was. Our marriage was teetering on the edge of a very dark abyss, and I wondered if we would have the strength to keep from falling. I bent down and helped Anna to her feet, and we held each other until her sobbing subsided. Let's make some fresh coffee, I said to her. Thank you, Brad. Oh, Brad, she whispered. I think I just wrecked your car when I pulled up. Yes, I heard. We'll talk about that later, I told her. I helped her down the stairs and into the kitchen. While we drank our coffee, I asked her, "What made you change your mind? Last night you were so sure you had to leave Stan. What changed?" She looked at me over her cup, her dark eyes still red and swollen. You buried our marriage. What do you mean? You put our marriage certificate in that awful coffin and nailed the lid shut. After you left, I went upstairs to pack my things, but all I could think about was our marriage certificate in that dark, horrible place. Our marriage is over. You buried it. It was lying in a place where there was no air, no light, and no way out. And then I started thinking about all the wonderful things that certificate had given us, about everything it meant to me. We were a team, so happy when we were together, and I thought about how you always made me happy. I must have fallen asleep because I dreamed that I was lying in that coffin, in that dark place, and I felt like I was suffocating. It was so real that I woke up and realized that I had to somehow remove the lid of the coffin and return our marriage to where it could breathe, where I could breathe. She laughed a little. I never noticed how well you hide your tools. It took me at least an hour to find the crowbar and another half-hour to drag the coffin into the bedroom and lift the lid enough to get our certificate. I was obsessed. I had to get it before you hammered the last nail into the coffin. When did you decide not to leave Stan? She giggled again, and the sound warmed my soul. About 2 seconds after you walked out the door, I realized I could never leave Stan or anyone else. I felt so stupid and ashamed. How could I do that to the only man I ever loved? I tried calling you over and over, but you didn't answer. Then I started texting you, but that didn't work either. Much later, when I finally lifted the lid of the coffin to reach him, I thought about how I was going to tell Stan that I didn't want to see him anymore. I took off all my makeup, took your old t-shirt and sweatpants out of the closet and put them on, my eyes red and ugly from crying, and thought about how beautiful I would be for Stan when he saw the real me, the one you see all the time. And would you still love me? You are the most beautiful woman I have ever known. Even now, you look perfect. And when I realized that, I knew I had to do everything in my power to get you back, to make you love me again. I hadn't had time to pack everything yet, but when I started unpacking my suitcase, I saw the negligee I had bought for my trip with Stan, and I started crying again. Suddenly, just looking at them made me feel sick. They were the last reminder of my betrayal, and I had to destroy them, so I took a pair of scissors and cut them all up. You know they cost a lot of money, but I couldn't look at them, so I destroyed them because I thought they had destroyed you and our marriage. Then I went to where I kept our marriage certificate, took it out, and studied it carefully. It's very simple. It says that Anna Stanford and Brad Connolly were joined in holy matrimony on June 12th, 2005, and that my maid of honor and your best man were witnesses. But when I looked at it, it all came back to me. We stood in front of all our family and friends and gave ourselves to each other. We vowed to be faithful to each other until death. And I cried again, realizing that I couldn't share myself with anyone but you. I can't share what I don't have, and that's what I told Stan when he came for me. Thanks for telling me. Now I have something to think about. Do you think we'll work out and everything will be okay? I don't know, Anna. I hope so, but right now I don't know. You almost killed me last night. I had never felt such pain in my life. I felt so betrayed, so alone, so helpless. Can you imagine what it's like to know that the only person on earth you love more than anything else, the person you've always trusted unconditionally, chooses another man over you? She burst into tears again. Oh, Brad, I'm so sorry. I wasn't thinking straight. I'll do anything to make him better, even die if it helps. That won't help. I want you to live and be happy. And more than anything, I want to trust you again. It won't be as hard as it could be because, as you said yourself, we've always been honest with each other. Even last night when you told me how you felt. I thought I felt that, Brad. You thought you felt that? And now what, Anna? I don't know about you, but I didn't sleep well last night. And if you don't mind, I'd like you to come lie down with me. I don't know. Maybe it's too soon for that. We don't have to do anything, Brad. I just want to feel you close to me where you belong. Her dark eyes were so imploring that I couldn't refuse. Okay, but don't play games with me, Anna. I'm still angry with you. A faint smile appeared on her lips. As you say, dear. She crossed herself, took my hand, and led me upstairs to our room. No nonsense. For several months, everything went on as usual. No matter how hard I tried, memories of that night would pop into my head from time to time, and I would become sullen. Anna seemed to sense this, and when those moments came, she loved me so much that I became the only thing she could think about. She quit her job, and when her immediate boss and HR asked her why, she told them everything. Yes, she was ashamed, but she needed to get rid of that feeling. Unsurprisingly, the HR manager told her that Stan, who was actually a nice guy, had already been the subject of 3 complaints of sexual harassment, and in short, he found himself out of a job and without a reference. Anna not only kept her job, but was also paid a large sum of money in exchange for promising not to sue the company. She only worked there for 6 months because we found out we were going to be parents. I guess there's more than one way to make an impression. Oh yes, of course. As soon as Anna came up the stairs and put me to bed that day, well, I think you know.